More of Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy comes your way now. And make sure to join me, Larry Elder, tonight at 7, only on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, and the Democrat Party has rolled out its better deal. Better deal for Americans. You know, they want a policy agenda too. And so they just borrowed that dictator Maduro's economic policy in Venezuela. Very good piece in the Washington Post, something I don't say a lot. The potential impact of one of the parts of the better deal that Democrats are offering, $15 federal minimum wage. Here's the issue with that.
The real facts?
Well, for example...
Because there's consequences for actions.
For example, in West Virginia, the median hourly wage. In West Virginia, the state, the median hourly wage is $14.79. In Arkansas, it's $14.48. In Mississippi, it's $14.22. So if you're talking about a minimum wage that would be could be binding on more than half the jobs in just those three states. So what would be the response if you're going to mandate $15 an hour for so many of those jobs where the median comes out at less than $15 an hour? Layoffs and cuts in hours worked, which is what happened in Seattle, and which is why servers in Maine overturned the proposed increase in the minimum wage in that state, because the servers in Maine took and passed an Econ 101 course. For more on this topic and others, we're pleased to be joined by our friend Steve Moore, Chief Economist of the Heritage Foundation, and senior economist at CNN and Wall Street Journal columnist.
We can go on and on and on.
Got all the bells and whistles. Hey, Steve, how about that $15 minimum wage and that better deal economic program that Democrats are offering?
Hey, Dan. Hey, Amy. Well, I did read that piece, actually, about there's about 6 or 7 states that have median wages that are at or below what they're proposing for the federal minimum wage. Now, they had a big experiment in Seattle. Did you guys follow that?
Yeah.
With the $15 minimum wage. I don't think they've gotten up to 15 yet. I think they're at 12 or 13. And what they found was, look, most people who are in the minimum wage are either retail or fast food restaurant workers. And what they found was that the fast food, the McDonald's and the Burger Kings and the Walmarts found ways to automate so that they didn't have to hire workers. So they actually had a big decline in the number of people who were working. Now, as you guys know, I grew up in Chicago. My first job, to give you a sense of how old I am, was working at a warehouse in Northbrook, Illinois, for $2.05 an hour. But, I think a lot about that first job. You learn a lot with your first job. You learn how to show up on time and how to be nice to your boss, and maybe how to run a cash register or run a forklift and those kinds of, very useful skills. Most people who earn the minimum wage, it's their first job. It's a starter job. And you do a real disservice to the economy when you destroy those starter jobs, because then people can't get into the workforce. If you don't have a first job, you got to have a second job or a third job or a fourth job.
Yeah, and didn't you get a work permit, too, at age 15? I think that's what you and I have in common.
Well, actually, I think it was 17 when I have it. Now, that was the first. I had worked before that, but I'd never, worked for, for a real employer like that. I had mowed lawns and had a newspaper delivery route back when they had newspapers. But look, it's really true. When I was at the Wall Street Journal, we would meet, incredibly talented people who were, successful in business or finance or entertainment or sports, amazing, amazing people. And I always asked them, where are you from? And it was amazing how many of them grew up on a farm. And if you grew up on a farm, you started working when you're 8, 9, 10 years old. There's no child labor laws when you're growing up on a farm, but those people tended to be successful. We make a big mistake in this country when we don't have young people work. Young people should be working. College students, that's the solution to the college aid program. Well, how about college students who are 21, 22 years old? They work while they're in school.
Right. Now, I was watching DonaldTrump.com, Trump TV, and they were touting that President Trump has created 1 million jobs so far in the first 6 months of his pregnancy, his presidency. Where did these jobs come from? What kind of public sector
That's
jobs?
a great question. I was hoping you would ask that, Amy, because I have gone through that report. By the way, it was a blockbuster report. The economy really, truly has shifted into a higher gear. We're growing at 1.5% last year under Obama, which is barely staying out of recession. We're now up to 2.6%. And as you both know, I've been saying on this show and on CNN and Fox, whoever will listen, that we can get to 3 to 4% growth. Trump thinks we can get to 5. I don't know about that, but look, the economy is better, and why is it better? Mostly because you've gotten these crazy people in the Obama administration who hated business out of their regulatory agencies. Just having when I talk to employers, they say just having some certainty that that Washington isn't going to hurt us, even if Trump doesn't do anything positive. Just getting rid of the regulatory stranglehold is important. As you know, Trump promised 2 repeals of regulations for every new regulation, and did you guys know they're at 16? They've repealed 16 regulations for every new regulation. So that's a big deal. But that circles me back. Oh, one other quick thing, Amy. You asked where the jobs are coming from.
Yeah.
A lot of them are coming from the mining and drilling industry. Wow, what a shock! We actually are promoting American energy. We're producing jobs in the energy industry. So that's one of my favorite stories. Coal has been a major comeback under Trump.
All right, we need an update from you since you're part of the junta, along with I guess there's a fourth, but along with Kudlow and Laffer and Forbes, trying to provide advice and counsel on tax reform. So where does that stand?
And I was hoping you would not ask me that.
Yeah, okay.
Because, the Republicans are bumbling. They can't seem to get their act together. We saw that on Obamacare, which was a disgrace. And by the way, as we speak, you've got Republicans like Lamar Alexander of Tennessee who are negotiating behind closed doors with Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi for a bailout of the insurance companies, which would be the biggest betrayal of Republican principles and what they said they would do. Instead of repealing Obamacare, you'd get a bailout of Obamacare under the Republican Congress. So look out for that. I still hold out hope that there will be a tax cut this year. In fact, I'm flying up to New York today for a dinner that I'm having with Larry Kudlow, with Kevin Brady, who's the Ways and Means Committee chairman, and we're going to tell him, look, you've got to get this done. All of these gains we've seen in the stock market, in jobs, in confidence, all of those threaten to go away. You could have a sell-off in stocks if they don't get this tax cut done, because some of it is already priced into the market. So if you're an investor, beware of the Republicans' inability to get this thing done. But I'm going to put the probability right now that we get a tax cut this year at 60%.
Oh, boy, the triumph of hope over experience.
60%,
okay.
but I was wrong on Obamacare. Remember I said I thought there's an 80% chance
Yeah.
we're going to get Obamacare repealed on this show, so I was wrong about that.
So there's about a 30% chance you're right. So that was what you're saying. I got to ask you this question, too. Speaking of the triumph of hope over experience, hoping that conservatives will be principled rather than engage in the rent-seeking behavior we decry when it's the left doing it. Sinclair Broadcast Group has, of course, proposed acquisition of Tribune Media, and it's igniting the opposition from the left because Sinclair is, center-right, and of course, if you're center-right, you're not allowed to own a media property in this country. At least that would be the left's utopia. But they're also getting opposition from Newsmax. Christopher Ruddy filed a petition urging the FCC to deny the Sinclair Tribune combination, along with One America News Network and The Blaze, Glenn Beck's operation. They want to be insulated from competition by the federal government. Well, that's not very sporting of those erstwhile conservatives, is it, Steve?
No, it isn't. And look, I'm a big fan of Chris Ruddy. I work for Newsmax, but I think that they're just wrong on this. I mean, is anybody really worried about a monopoly in the media?
Yeah, right.
You've got 1,000 places, you can get your media from. It's not like the 1960s where you had 3 networks and 5 radio stations. I mean, you've got so much competition, and the idea that there's somehow a monopoly influence there. And look, is this Sinclair? Would this be Tribune, Chicago Tribune, or?
Yeah, well, Tribune Media. I mean, the WGN, not the papers, but the
okay, yeah, but still, I mean, a lot of these, like newspapers and stuff are in danger of going away. I'm a big newspaper fan. I worked for a newspaper for 10 years, and maybe the best thing for the survival of some of these papers is mergers with other companies. By the way, I feel the same way about what's happening with Google and Apple. Our major titans in high technology are being sued by the Europeans for being monopolies, which is completely ridiculous. There's another area. Technology is not a monopolistic industry. I mean, that's like, remember when they went after AT&T?
Yeah. Well, how about Microsoft? Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. So just let the free market competition work, and I don't even believe in antitrust. I mean, if you get the king of the mountain, you can stay there, but it ain't easy. It ain't easy to stay at the king of the mountain, as you said, as Microsoft has learned, and Google 10 years from now may not even exist. That's the dynamism of free enterprise.
Well, that's why we like you, Steve, because you're principled. You're even willing to defend those leftist cranks at Google.
As long as, but I do think there should be a cap on the number of economists.
Yeah, of course, obviously.
Oh, of course, yes.
Yeah, we got to protect Steve Moore. Absolutely.
We have enough economists. We don't need any more.
Okay.
He is Heritage Foundation economist Steve Moore. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Bye, guys.
And he joined us on our turnkey economist-friendly .pro answer line.
It's like a